Who exactly are we in this game? Regardless of the name you chose for your character, everyone calls you Tarnished.
A pleasure to meet thee, Tarnished. I am the witch Renna.
All the other dudes and dudettes you meet in this game have, like, proper names, right? But everyone we meet just calls us Tarnished. Is that some kind of ethnic slur like hillbilly? What does it mean to be a Tarnished? Well, according to the Grand Poobah himself, Miyazaki, the ancestors of the characters that are present in the world were banished and exiled from the lands between. He also stated that exile and return is one of the central themes of the game. What does he mean by that? Fortunately, the game provides a clue. We learn from the remembrance of Huara that when Godfrey, first Elden Lord, was robbed of his grace, becoming tarnished, he took with him his kinfolk and left the lands between. After the long march, the Tarnished came to an end. Godfrey divested himself of kingship, becoming a simple warrior once more. The land they settled was called the Badlands, according to the description of the exalted flesh. A long time after the Tarnished left the lands between, the Elden Ring was shattered, and the guidance of grace was extended to the Tarnished, who returned from the dead and went back to the lands between, guided by grace. The Tarnished, given life by grace, gained a form of immortality, allowing them to return from the dead over and over on their quest to become Elden Lord. And we're not the only Tarnished souls in the game. The game is full of them. They include Patches, the Dung Eater, Gold Mask, and Roderica the Spirit Tuner, and many, many others. So technically, all of these NPCs are in fact our kinfolk, distant relatives from our exiled past. We're all part of the same family, finding our way back to our homeland to right the wrongs of the past and reset the world. But not all Tarnished can see the guidance of grace. Some, like Blackguard Big Bogart, can no longer see the guidance of grace and are essentially lost souls.
You're Tarnished too, ain't you? Can you see it then? The guidance of grace, I mean. I can't see it at all no more. Makes no bloody sense anyway. Why some no-name shithead like me should get called to the lands between. Cruel bloody joke, you ask me. Maybe something went tits-up with it. Maybe it's been broke for a good long time. The Erdtree, I'm saying.
The Tarnished, who have lost their faith and find themselves adrift, abandoned and lost, are like the knight in the movie The Seventh Seal, who, after returning from the horrors of the Crusades, finds that he can no longer stand the silence of God in a world gone completely mad.
Jag vill ha vetskap. Inte tro, inte antaganden, utan vetskap. Jag vill att Gud räcker med sin hand, avtäcker sitt ansikte och talar till mig.
Men han tiger.
Jag ropar till honom i mörkret. Men ibland är det som det inte fanns någon där.
Det kanske inte finns någon där.
Då är levandet en orimlig fasa. Ingen människa kan leva med döden för ögonen och vetskapen om alltings intighet.
The Tarnished is really on a deeply spiritual, religious quest to cleanse the world of its sins and to remove from it the curse, the rot that pollutes the lands between, and to become the instrument of change that brings about a brand new heaven and a brand new earth. And so there we have it. We, the Tarnished, are the souls of an ancient people who were exiled, expelled from our homes in the lands between, forced to endure a humiliating long march, much like the ancient Hebrews wandering the desert for 40 years after leaving Egypt, or the American Indians' Trail of Tears away from their ancestral lands. And now, through the guidance of grace, the Tarnished have been transported back to the lands between to embark on what can be called a crusade of sorts. Indeed, the Tarnished's journey is a religious one. Faith is an important attribute to have in this game, and we use holy weapons to defeat our many enemies. Of course, the Dark Souls series are all set in medieval fantasy worlds, and Elden Ring continues that tradition in an instantly recognizable medieval world filled with armor, shields, swords, lances, maces, crude wooden siege engines. We see the existence of various kinds of knightly orders, coat of arms. There are lords, monks, maidens, castles, and forts. In the English language version of the game, the characters and bosses all speak with British accents and use King James's English with all those these and thous, just like in the Bible.
Tarnished. What business hast thou here? I have no memory of inking thee an invitation.
Historically, the game setting corresponds to the era between the years 1049 to 1620 AD. This was the peak era for knights for loyalty, courage, and adventurism, driven by greed, power, religious fanaticism, and idealized virtues of manhood. Aside from the more fantastical elements of the game, like the dragons, trolls, vampire bats, and these things, the lands between is immediately recognizable to us as the world of King Arthur's Round Table, of Excalibur, Sir Lancelot, and knights in shining armor. Those stories have the Christian Crusades as their reference. The Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192 AD, is the one in which England's King Richard the Lionhearted gained his fame, and the historical setting of the legend of Robin Hood. And so, who are the Tarnished? We are, in a sense, crusaders, guided by grace, on a righteous spiritual quest to fix a broken world and bring about a better one. The Tarnished does not wish to rule the world, although he becomes the new Elden Lord and sits on a throne. The Tarnished is really on a deeply spiritual religious quest to cleanse the world of its sins and to remove from it the curse, the rot that pollutes the lands between, and to become the instrument of change that brings about a brand new heaven and a brand new earth. Of course, none of this background story is necessary to enjoy the game. But what makes Elden Ring the greatest game ever made is the richness of its world, and the endless ways you can interpret this rich mosaic of human cultural history that the developers got so right. I hope you've gotten a clearer understanding of who you are as a Tarnished and your motivation toward the salvation of the world. Thanks for watching. Show me some love down below with comments, insults, subscriptions, what have you.
You'll be Elden Lord yet.
I'm on my own capitalistic crusade to become insanely wealthy on YouTube. Keep the faith, baby.